Tom Kerber.
So I'm the Director of Research at Parks Associates, and we study the Internet of Things from a lot of different perspectives. And I wanted to highlight a few trends and opportunities in the IoT space. You can pull up the slides, please. So no matter what industry you're in, whether it's a smart home or smart buildings or industrial internet, the data from your product creates value, not only for individually for your product, but also for many different industry segments. So if you think about all the different industries that in their value chains and all the different businesses that participate in all those individual industries, the opportunity to create value in those industries is significant. And when we get to slides, I'll show you a few examples. One example is in the HVAC industry. If you think about a service contract with the HVAC vendor is critical to their business model. So for example, it takes, say 10 years for your furnace or air conditioner to break. And so they're constantly having to get new customers, and there's higher acquisition costs associated with that. So having a service contract, having a relationship with the customer is significantly important to them. Now, the appeal of a service contract where they come out in the fall and the winter and make sure your system's tuned up and ready to go before the heating and cooling season starts, that's critically important to them, but it has relatively limited appeal. However, if you add connectivity, if you add a connected thermostat where you're able to monitor that system on a 24/7 basis, the appeal of that base service increases by 50%. So this is the obviously the data in all the different industries, and here's some examples. So the first one is, again, on the HVAC side, adding connectivity increases the value of that service by roughly 50%. Similarly, an appliance, when you go out to buy an appliance, the extended warranty offer is very lucrative for the retailer. But it has relatively limited appeal. But if you bundle that with a connected product offering that monitors the performance of that product 24/7, again, the appeal of that base service increases dramatically, over 50%. And the last example here is a home warranty product. This is basically, say you pay $500 a year to a company to insure all the products in your home. And if there's an issue, they take care of that. Again, bundling that with the connectivity solution for both HVAC and appliance monitoring services increase the appeal of those products. And so this really opens up many new business model opportunities. Obviously, having monitoring by itself differentiates your product, but now you have the opportunity to participate in revenue streams from these different industry partners. Now, in addition to that kind of looking at different industry players, the opportunity for new business models is also ever present. So idea of selling complementary products, whether it's accessories or consumables, app sales, upgrades, different capabilities associated with connectivity, including in data exchange and API transaction fees. I want to just kind of stop at that point for a second, because when we talk about having these partnerships and doing some of the deals like that we outlined in the examples, those take a little time to do. So I have to go out and I meet with an individual. We kind of have an agreement. But there's a lot of friction in that. When you think about the scale of the Internet of Things, all the potential partners, all the potential deals that are out there, an API transaction fee model is a very scalable approach to executing these business models in a very scalable, frictionless manner. So it's a very transformative approach to when you think about new business models. And the last one that I want to highlight is this idea of subsidizing user cost. So generally when you go out and buy a product, whether you're on the industrial side or building commercial or end consumer, you either pay for that on an upfront basis or on a recurring basis. But if a manufacturer or a service provider is able to monetize these products using indirect methods, those listed here or through partnerships, right, then you're able to subsidize the cost, essentially maybe even being able to give away this product and service and still providing significant value to the consumer, but also monetizing it through these indirect sources. It's very challenging to compete against someone who's basically giving away a product for free. And this is a very significant source of competitive advantage going forward. Data creates significant value, and I think everyone knows this, and this is happening across multiple industries, how data, we start with maybe just basic collection and reporting, but then when different products and service providers look at modeling how people use a product or modeling what's normal, that's where significant value-added services end up being created. So obviously, when you can model what's normal, then you can understand what's not normal and provide notifications. And if you can model kind of the interaction with the product, then predicting how the product is going to react in different circumstances is not very far off. And then obviously, if you can predict the future, then adding a control element to that to change the outcome for the better, right? So this is happening across multiple verticals. Every individual product category across multiple segments, really kind of proceeding along this line where data continues to add significant value. The data could come obviously from the sensors that are in products, which is the main source for many of these value-added services. But it's really about how people use the product, right? How different segments might be interacting with the product, or how you might interact with those different segments and try to improve their engagement with the product. So this data is a very rich source for a lot of reasons. I talked about performance modeling, behavior modeling, automated decision making, and then even power consumption. So we have a lot of battery-operated devices in IoT space, so understanding power consumption. There's a lot of differentiating features now that are available in the mobile devices, and that's obviously will be applied to many IoT devices going forward. We also have this idea of thinking about unstructured data sources, so things that just don't kind of fit cleanly into a database per se. And Qualcomm talks about this idea of cognitive computing, where the products will be able to sense or see and hear, kind of understand their surroundings and be able to infer, understand the context of where they are. And then, obviously, if you can understand that context, take action based off of that. And we're seeing a lot of very innovative analytics firms talking about facial recognition or understanding the emotional state of a person by the image, right? Understanding their activities, what they're doing, and understanding where they're focusing their attention. So if I'm looking at my watch, right, and I speak to my watch, right, there's a lot of value associated with just understanding, again, the context of how people are interacting with their environment. And this applies also in the space of audio, voice recognition, and so forth. Obviously, the combination of different data sources, so data sources we talked about, but also all the third-party data that's available. These data mashups create a significant amount of value. And I'm going to give you a couple examples, and these are in the smartphone space, but obviously this type of services can drive significant differentiation in whatever product, in whatever segment you're operating in. So this is an example of a smart thermostat that leverages data mashups from different sources. So on the right is basically, you say, would you like to buy a basic smart thermostat that allows you to interact with it with your smartphone? Or would you like one that includes this data mashup capability where it takes weather data and uses that to optimize the set points, or takes information from your utility and uses that to optimize for different pricing signals that might be? Or takes information from you, the user, and how you normally interact with that and model your behavior and understand how that. You can see that roughly 40% of people would pay 3 times more, so additional $200 for this highly differentiated product. And so this is a very good example of how this data really can drive significant value in the marketplace. Another example is in the smart smoke detector. Again, you have on the right kind of a basic connected version, which is great and interesting, but one with little additional sensors and capability, little data analytics thrown in. Again, this one is 4 times the cost, or additional $100 for this product. And the majority of people, 50%, would prefer the product with a greater capability. Now, the other thing besides just price differentiation and price expansion is the opportunity for these value-added services, again, when the right bundle is together, is to drive proactive replacement. So many of the products and services in the Internet of Things space, right, they have very long lifetimes. If you think about industrial products, meters, and things have extended lifetimes. In the home, a thermostat or a ceiling fan or name the product, they have extended lifetimes, decades possibly. And so having a compelling set of value-added services is important because it drives proactive replacement. not only giving you price expansion, but expanding the size of the market at the same time. So these are a few examples of differentiation. Another example, this is more on the service side. These are services that an energy utility might offer, for example. And so we just asked the appeal of various services. We see here examples here. It says receive alerts when your energy usage is high. 34% of people say, yes, I'm very interested in receiving that type of service. You can see almost an equal or greater number said, it's interesting, but not for me. Now, I want to ask just the audience real quickly, how many people would pay, say, $10 a month for that service? Receive alerts when your energy usage is high. Anybody? Oh, decent. So 10%, maybe 5% in that range. Now, we asked this question, though, if not only did you receive this one service, but if you received this combination of all the services here, right, this bundle of services, wait, there's more. What is the reaction to that? Well, in this case, 43% would pay $9 a month, and over 60% would pay $3 a month for that bundle of services. So again, an opportunity to provide value through data, in this case, to drive recurring revenue through a compelling bundle of energy services. The last thought I wanted to leave you with briefly is that there's a lot of exponential trends kind of happening simultaneously. So we see exponential improvements in memory and processing capability and bandwidth. And what this means is that, that the Internet of Things and all the intelligence is quickly moving to the edge of the network. And what that means then is that at the edge, you think about the words of Wayne Gretzky, right? You need to move to where the puck is going to be. Well, the edge is where it's going to be, and at that edge, there's a lot of processing capability, there's a lot of bandwidth associated with that edge product. And so the winners in this space are going to take advantage of that. Right? They're going to invest in the sensors, they're going to invest in the data analytics at the edge, they're going to invest in those business models and really go deep. And the deep business models, that is, those that provide these significant differentiation are the winning business models in the IoT era. That's all I had. My name is Tom Kerber. If you have any questions or follow-up, here's my contact information. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks to Gene.